So it occurred to me that the world of fitness is a pretty formidable place for a software engineer to get into because there's a lot of information, and with the nature of how information is spread on places like YouTube, the more outrageous clickbait titles are what gain the most traction. It's very easy to find lots of very unuseful, highly targeted information that would only work for a very small minority of people. So with this roadmap, I'm going to walk you through first principles, what actually grows corn. What are the things that if you did would take you from below average fitness to well above maybe top 5%. And the game here is to do that in a way that doesn't sacrifice too much of your time. I grew up on games like League of Legends and RuneScape, and when I first went to the gym, I couldn't bench press the bar, which is 20 kilograms, and for 3 years after that, I probably couldn't run further than a kilometer. And then just this Christmas gone, I ran an ultra marathon. So I'm going to run you through the fundamentals in this video. And in future videos, I'm going to get more and more specific on each part so you can optimize in the direction that best suits your goals. So we're going to start with generalized fitness, which I've split into diet, exercise, and lifestyle. Right, so diet. Why do we care about diet? Why is that the first thing that I want to talk about when it comes to fitness? Quite simply because if you're over 25 in the UK, then you have a 60% chance that you're overweight. Chances are your training has very little to do with this. It's going to be your diet and your lifestyle. All that really matters here is calories in, calories out. If you're underweight, you need to eat more. If you're overweight, you need to eat less. Now, you could take the typical advice of, go for morning runs and start strength training 5-6 times a week and do ab circuits so that you burn off fat in those areas. All of that is terrible advice. It is much harder to run for 2 hours to burn off a Big Mac than it is to just not eat the Big Mac. If you're in tech, you probably spend a lot of time sat in your chair not doing much exercise. You've got a sedentary lifestyle. You probably eat 3 meals a day. They're probably the kinds of things you grew up eating. You probably have cereal or toast for breakfast. You probably have sandwiches for lunch with crisps. And you probably have a dinner that is low in protein, high in carbs, and there's a lot of grey, because if you live in the UK, that's what most people eat. Chips and Kievs. And if you're fortunate enough to be on a good salary because you're a software engineer, you might be getting Uber Eats a lot more than you need to. Now, I'm not going to say that you need to stop getting Uber Eats, because you work for your money, you pick your vices, but the game is here is how can we do it in such a way where we're not gaining weight if we're already overweight. Now, if you're straight down the middle, healthy weight, don't need to think about it, fine, we're not going to touch this. But on the assumption that you don't have a high muscle mass, we're going to defer to the good old BMI. Go online right now, type in BMI calculator, type in your height and your weight, and it's going to tell you whether you need to eat less, eat more, or you're fine. If you find yourself overweight or obese, we're going to start cutting down on food. If you find yourself underweight, you need to start upping how much you eat. Because it's only when we're in a healthy body range that we really want to start moving into getting specific about the changes that we're going to make. You want to be in a strong position before you start optimizing. So the things that you hear about BMI not being relevant, the problem with BMI is it doesn't account for people with a high muscle percentage. So bodybuilders, for example, would come in as obese because they're very heavy for their height, but that weight's coming from muscle. But I'm willing to bet that you're probably not a seasoned powerlifter watching the fundamentals. Right, so you're either too heavy or too light. How much do you increase or decrease your food by? Step 1, download MyFitnessPal. Put in your details, and it'll tell you when you get through the screen, do you want to gain weight or lose weight? You pick depending on whether you're above or below. And then it'll say how much you want to lose. Pick the moderate one. So it'll give you, I think, maybe to lose weight, 0.5 kilogram, 1 kilogram, 1.5 kilograms, pick whatever's in the middle. Don't go for the extreme because you'll quit. These are going to be slow changes that instead of having something fast that gets you, I don't know, in the ideal shape in 2 months, you'd rather be across your lifetime making healthy decisions that are sustainable. And you'd actually be surprised at how quick this stuff changes, because the heavier you are, if you're trying to lose weight, the faster you lose weight to begin with. You're going to see the most progress at the beginning. Right, so I'm not going to ask you to track calories for the rest of your life. Literally just download your calorie counter, track your calories for a week, and you're going to start to have an idea of, okay, say to lose weight, you need to eat 2,000 calories a day. You track what you normally eat for the first 3 days, and you go, shit, I'm eating 3,500 calories a day. I need to cut down. Suddenly you're going to have an adjustment, and you're going to start realizing what 2,000 calories a day looks like. And chances are, after a week, you're going to be able to intuitively do it. And then all you got to do then is just weigh yourself regularly. Maybe every couple of days, hop on the scale, just make sure the number in general is going down. And I want you to consider that your weight loss is going to do this. So some days it's going to look a bit higher than it was yesterday because your water weight's going to fluctuate a lot. Just a lot of lifestyle factors influence this. But the game here is that if we plot it across a month and we've trended down, that's good. If you get to the end of the month and you haven't, chances are you're not tracking your calories properly. Do another week. Make sure you're counting your mayonnaise that you put in your sandwiches, because that adds up. It's like oil that you put in a pan if you're pan frying things. If it's a tablespoon, write down tablespoon of oil and you'd be surprised how quickly it stacks up, especially when you start limiting. If you keep weighing yourself until you find yourself in a healthy BMI, that's a really good position for you to be in. That is a life-changing decision that you've made. Sure, you could read how Russian ballerinas smoke a cigarette and drink a can of Coke for lunch, and that's all they eat, and you might lose the weight way faster, but you're going to get to the end of it, it's going to be unsustainable, and you're going to bounce back. Your body is always fighting against change, and if you change too quickly, it has a tendency to rubber band back. You don't want to be that person. Just stick to something like a moderate calorie reduction, bring yourself into a healthy BMI, you're going to look better, you're going to feel better, and you're going to be already in the top 40%. So look out, more than most people are going to be in worse shape than you. And all you've done is just counted your calories and reduced how much you eat. Or in the case of under eating, you've increased how much you eat slightly. Right, so I spoke about this in the in my framework video that I did for fitness, but I'm going to give like a real minimum dose fitness that you can attain to. Right, you might think this number's arbitrary, 10,000 steps. You've probably got a smartphone, and it's going to tell you how many steps you do a day. Start making choices that means that you're walking more. You probably spend too much time inside. If you've got a goal like this, it's going to get you out in the sun. Your hormones are going to start regulating better. This is going to burn calories. So if you're trying to gain weight, account for that, eat a bit more. MyFitnessPal will pick it up. It picks up how many steps you take, and it changes how many calories you need for the day based on that. You want to start becoming the kind of person who takes the healthier option. If you've got an elevator at work, take the stairs. If your local shop is a 10-minute walk, don't drive, walk. You're going to hit that 10,000 steps. These are small changes that are going to have an outsized difference for somebody who otherwise has done very little. Right, I'm going to say join Park Run here, but realistically, join a club of that you would typically say are that fit people would go to, right? Do something like, maybe you like Joe Rogan, maybe you want to go do jiu-jitsu, maybe you like tennis, go join a tennis club. You're going to start surrounding yourself with people who are into this, and the kinds of people you're hanging around, it's going to rub off on you. You're going to start picking up the habits that they do. You're going to start choosing healthier options. When they say, hey, we're done playing tennis, do you want to go grab a coffee? You're going to go to some nice coffee shop and have a healthy snack instead of going to the pub with your normal friends and sinking 10 pints. Now, don't get me wrong, you don't have to stop having 10 pints on a Friday night, just maybe not 10 pints most nights. Right, so this is going to be the first thing that actually costs anything that is a requirement. Join a gym. You need to get strength training in. Aim to go twice a week, 45 minutes each session. Go in there, pick some muscles that you'd like to see bigger. If you're a guy, chances are it's your biceps and your triceps because you want your arm to look big in your t-shirt. No one's judging. That's what most people in the gym are doing. Pick some resistance machines, have them varied, sit on them, do 3 sets of 10 reps. So that's, say you sit on the chest press, you push 10 times, you wait a minute or two, you push another 10 times, that's your second set, and then you push another 10 times, that's your third set. Move on to a different machine. Do that for 45 minutes, and you're going to start seeing noticeable changes. If you're someone that's untrained, that will be enough stimulus to get something like 70 to 80% of the gains that you could get. Now you're thinking, but I want 100%. Chances are you're not going to go from sedentary to going to the gym 5 or 6 times a week. And do you even want to do that? You're going to be tired all the time. You're going to hate getting out of your chair because standing up will suck because you're working out close to what your natural limit is. No, I'm just saying go twice a week. Right, so last one, your lifestyle. Number 1, sleep. You're in tech, chances are you spend a lot of time in front of a screen, and that typically is just before you go to bed. Stop doing that. Just pick a time that you have to be up for. Say during the week you got to be up at 8 in the morning so that you can get up, get ready, go to work. Do that on the weekends as well as your weekdays, and make sure you're going to bed at the same time. If you can, an hour before you go to bed, do things that are relaxing. If it's a screen, try and get some distance. Pick a TV and watch something that isn't going to get you yelling at your screen. No politics, no crazy over-the-top retention YouTube videos. Throw on some Always Sunny in Philadelphia or something like that. Something brain dead that you can actually wind down so that your body is ready to go to sleep. Turn off your overhead lights, have a lamp on. We need to start prioritizing sleep. If we're going to start doing exercise and we're going to be losing weight, your body needs to recover. And we're going to be changing our weight, your body needs to recover. The UK also has a massive drinking problem. We drink too much. It is common for people to go to the pub and continually have beers from when they get there to when they leave. And you're going to think, okay, but if I go and have an alcohol-free drink, it just doesn't feel the same. Fair. It doesn't. A good way to get around this is to start picking lower alcohol choices. If you like beer, have a shandy, and then a soft drink, and then back to another shandy, and alternate like that. Because then, across the amount of time that you go, you've drastically reduced how much you're going to drink, and also, there's a lot less calories. You're going to start quickly realizing, if you've been counting your calories over here, what the heavy hitters are. You've probably noticed, if you normally drink Coke with sugar in, that it's got 200, maybe even 300 calories more than a Diet Coke. And you're suddenly thinking, normal Coke does taste better, but it's not worth me eating less pasta or less chips or less burgers. You probably want to eat real food instead of drink sugar when you're limiting yourself. And honestly, with just these foundational things, you're going to see an outsized change in your lifestyle. Why do we do this? Well, on the overweight front, I hope I don't have to tell you why being overweight is bad. From blood pressure, mostly just cardiovascular issues, right? You probably don't want a heart attack when you're in your 40s. But also maybe you don't want to be the person that is exercising 24/7. Fair enough, most people don't. So this is a strong bare minimum of going from spiraling health, where really if you're not looking after these things, you're not going to be well later on. Sleep deprivation is huge. There seems to be some virality around being able to work however many hours, do what you want, and only sleep 4 hours. You can sleep 4 hours a night, but there will be problems. There will be consequences. You will be doing... Across the long term, you are damaging your brain and your body. You don't want to be the guy that looks 40 or 50. You don't want to be the guy that looks 50 when he's 30. Drinking and not sleeping enough and being overweight is exactly what will do that to you. It's aging you. So in the next video, I'll get more specific about diet. We'll dive into really breaking down what you can do to have a healthy diet, because sure, this is going to help you get into a better body fat percentage, but you're not going to feel as good as you could if you were eating healthier foods. And also, you've probably heard of people bulking and cutting. Why do they do that? Well, that's when you start getting into the section of people who look better than an average guy. Those are the people who are noticeably in good shape. So I'll break that down in the next video. But until then, I've got this video about how I manage my time. I currently do a lot more than the bare minimum, and it will give you a sneak peek at the kind of things that you can start introducing that I find to be the highest leverage, highest impact protocols, because I have very little spare time, so I only have things in my schedule that are going to make a difference. If you click this video here, you can watch that now. I hope that video helps. Cheers.